You're listening to the Real Estate Radio Hour, the show that brings you unfiltered stories and insight from the Twin Cities real estate world with your hosts, Chris Rooney, broker at RE/MAX Preferred, and Andy Presky, leader of the Preferred Home Team at RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
Hey.
Whoa!
That snuck up on us.
Wait, is it Thursday? This thing just turns on. I don't know how it does it.
You're always at your desk, Andy. You're always working.
I was just studying these deals I've got going right now, Chris.
Oh, look at them. Those look like new houses.
Man.
Those
Look
look
at all
like
of
new.
that. 5.9%. What do you want? $2,500 a month? I got it.
Hey, you're tricking people.
Nope, I'm bringing back affordability, Chris, all by myself.
5.99.
Yeah, I want these young kids to live the dream that we're living, Chris.
Someday they can have an office with a blinking light too.
Yeah, especially these foreigners.
Yeah, exactly. That's by far the best wall in his house right there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Are you, so Nick, tell us now, so you're the world champions again or something like that, right?
No.
We got knocked out in the playoffs last week. So this season is over. Now I'm headed to Peru on Monday.
Just to live there for a little bit, or?
Yeah. I'm gonna do all the Machu Picchu and the Inca civilization stuff, and it'll be good. But no, it's a beautiful time this year in Brazil. It's long. I've been here since February, but this year not a national champion.
Well, I don't have the jersey to support you, so it's probably part of it.
They don't have it. Believe me, Andy, I tried getting you one. They just don't make them our size. I mean, even the linemen freaking, that's
Grande?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But Mucho, what'd you say? Mucho, what is that place?
Machu Picchu.
Machu Picchu. Is that the one that's way up high in the mountains? Yeah. Oh, that one's cool. I had a client tell me about that.
Like, don't they have that really good chili? I love their chili there.
Burritos. Yeah. But yeah, I had a client tell me about that said it was just unbelievable. He went and did it with his daughter. So pretty cool.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah. And what's happened over there? So the daylight saving times, I was ready to go, an hour ago, and then
oh geez,
I know that kicked into gear. But yeah, start talking about that market. What's happening?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
What do you think, Andy? Oh gosh, I got short next to you.
It was interesting. I, for the first time, had a customer yesterday where we were out and meeting with clients, and they set me up and asked me like, so what do you think is going to happen in the spring? And they had all their research done because they've watched our show, obviously. And I said, well, I said, in a weird way, to get back to a balanced market, we need to have a fair interest rate so the investors are excited, a fair interest rate so that, people can afford to, buy houses. And I said, I personally don't see rates really softening in the spring. But if they do, unfortunately, it might have consequences of other things with the economy. Like maybe it's unemployment numbers are going high or consumer, whatever, fuel prices, whatever. And they would, no, that doesn't always have to happen. We've researched. And I said, okay. I said, well, this week it did happen that way, but go ahead and tell me about the, where we're headed and what we're doing, and it was kind of funny. I respect people that do their research. So I really do. And so it turned into I won't say it wasn't a confrontation at all. It was just more of a, it doesn't have to. And I said, just like I said, I personally believe, and anyway.
I'll tell you what I personally believe, Andrew, is that it's all about consumer confidence. Yeah. Every part of it. You can have high rates, you could have big time inventory, you could have low inventory, but if that consumer confidence isn't there, you got issues. And I don't know, this last week, I've seen a lot of people's minds kind of flipping a little from getting over the interest rate stuff to more concerned about world issues and or how it works for them. And what they're trying to do. Now, in some cases, they're able to get, some good deals on houses, but on other ones, it's only worth, the house is only worth, I mean, there's obviously other things that come into play, but it's only worth what someone's willing to sell it for, what someone's willing to buy it for. I mean, plain simple fact. And then obviously if you need financing, appraiser's got to justify that it is that, or you got to put more money down or whatever. But in the end, that's what it's about. And there's some people in this market that aren't like crying and running for the hills and trying to give everything away. They're just not.
Well, that's why when people keep talking about this, oh, we're headed for this mega crash. I'm like, oh, huh? Who's going to let their house go when they have that much equity? Unless they have to. I mean, I think you will see, unfortunately, some cases of where people have a lot of equity in their house and they took on way more debt than they can chew on. And so they can't get rid of it because nobody wants to buy it for a while because interest rates are high or whatever. And so they're stuck with bigger payments. They may have personal financial challenges, but housing is separate from that. They may drag their personal crap into it, but at the end of the day, housing is staying very healthy in the sense that tons of people own their houses free and clear. Tons of people have huge equity. And most people, like you just said, Chris, that are buying in today's market have the whole thing figured out. They're putting bigger deposits down, or they're not afraid of a 7.5%, 8.25% interest rate. And that they in their head have the math equation figured out. So they're making lifestyle changes, or they're making, I call these are the necessity moves, like where, mom retires, moves off to the 55 plus community, wants to sell her house, or moves to better, maybe the beach, right? Or the desert or whatever. And they want to sell that house, or, somebody is growing, their family's growing and they need to actually the more space. I'm seeing that happening too. And then, some younger people are, like that I personally observe, not everywhere and not everything. This is a Minnesota-based show. I'm seeing a lot of those folks saying, boy, I wish rates would come down again. I feel like I missed the opportunity. And I would say to those people, I'd rather see you buy a duplex and buy it today and refinance it down the road, or get somebody to in that other half of the property to help you subsidize that payment. Maybe you rent out the basement. Maybe you go back to like when we were kids, Chris, you remember? By the way, I hate it when it's just me on the screen. For the record, Nick.
That's for social media, Andy.
Oh.
So you can look super smart to everyone.
It doesn't work.
Without me going like this.
Can this guy even hear himself talk? He's full of crap. No, but
so I was excited to hear about when we were kids. What did we do?
No, like when we were kids, like when you and I were 20, 21, we're like, we're going to go buy a house. And we'd go buy a house and we'd rent it out to 4 delinquents in the basement for, $300 a month, and our whole payment was getting made.
Totally.
Guess what? Nobody's stopping you from doing that, young people. Nobody's stopping you from buying that house right now and having people subsidize the payment so that you can be an owner and all your buddies are renters. So I think that those that really want it, or those that are wise enough to or have the confidence, right? And maybe you need a partner. Maybe you don't buy it on your own. Maybe you do buy it with somebody else and you go 50-50. There's nothing wrong with 2 people buying a house that are completely just business partners. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be in a relationship. You can actually have separate interests in that property. And just the only thing I'd give for advice if you do that is exit strategies are more important than partnership strategies. Exit strategies, how do you get out? What happens if you die, I live, vice versa, and just kind of talk through those.
I get married, I want to move my girlfriend in,
right.
All of that stuff. Yeah.
Carry a life insurance policy on the other partner to cash out the other person, whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to do that, but I do think that is language that should be discussed up front for sure.
An example of your story, Andy, is there's these guys, there's 4 guys who just got out of college. They lived together in college. Mm-hmm. They wanted a place to be able to kind of live down here. They're all starting, just kind of getting going on their jobs. And what they're doing is they're going to rent for a year, and then they're all talking about buying a house together, all mm-hmm. 4 of them, and then putting together kind of a investment plan. So they're buying it, and now all 4 of them will have that, and then they can all go off to their other houses or whatever. But kind of neat. I mean, people thinking of different ways in which to be able to attack this market.
Well, Chris, I mean, like I'm joking around, but these houses right here that I have on payments, right? Again, you're looking at 2,500, 2,600, somewhere 3,000. Those houses are renting out for almost $1,000 more than that a month. So right here with this 5.99% buy down, maybe you go look at new. Maybe you never thought you could afford a new house. This is Inver Grove Heights, by the way. Call me.
Yep.
But the idea there, I've only got 6 ready to move in. You could be in for Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever holiday you want to celebrate in that new house, and we could get you in quickly. But
so is inventory growing?
no, not necessarily, because it's funny, Chris. The inventory that I have, and this is where it'll blow people's minds. They'll think I'm full of it.
Yeah.
I'm still selling the inventory that's up, the $700,000 and the $800,000 houses that are up, and people are putting $500,000 down. It's not like they've gone away. Those buyers are there's not as many of them, but they're still there. Those are the buyers that are they save their money, they make decisions that are super safe, right? I'm not saying anybody just saying, hey, let's wing it and see if it works out. Everybody's like, okay, I have $500,000. If I can get the rate at 7.5, or the builder will buy it down to 5.9, I'm ready to make a decision today. Because you don't get any younger, right? So if you're at that phase of life where you want that executive home and you're going to enjoy it for the next 20 years, the price isn't quite as important as if you're just trying to live there for 2.
Well, here's the thing, Andy, because you also have to do that because Zillow says you're not going to make any money on your house for at least 13 years in Minneapolis.
When is everybody going to finally tell Zillow to go to hell?
What I tell you, Nick, I thought I would get
Zillow. Dear Zillow, please die. Dear Zillow, unplug your servers. You suck.
Oh my gosh. I think this is really interesting. I actually had a buddy of mine and a lender that we use, that Andy Hubble. Remember Andy? He was on our WCCO. Really intelligent person, really kind of dives into things.
Yeah.
Well, it was interesting. So he put this video together, and he uses this video to kind of show buyers different options and owning versus renting. And he can kind of do it on a Zoom, record it, go through this whole thing and do it. But he actually did a video for us to be able to explain this whole thing about what Zillow's trying to say. So I thought maybe, do you want to, should we go through this and then maybe make some points? It's actually really good though. I mean, and it really explains it better than we probably could ever explain.
Let's have a sample of it. Let's do a 30-second or a minute sample or something like that.
Just show them. It's good.
Maybe we can share it or something too.
Okay, this is very quickly. I'm going to show you how I came up with the analysis that you have. Hopefully you've printed that out. You can use it, talk your clients through this article. So what prompted me to send this video was this article, once again, from Zillow. It appeared on Zillow last week, saying that, okay, this is very quickly. I'm going to show it would take 13, in some instances, close to 14 years in order to break even on buying a home, which is flat out ridiculous. So I did highlight in the email that I sent earlier that Minneapolis, Minnesota was one of the markets that they showed. So I want to just show you very quickly. Quick shout out to Barry Habib and his team over at Highway. This is the tool that they've created, and it's amazing. So I'll just kind of walk you through. It doesn't take long at all. I'm going to put in the zip code. I put in my own zip code, which is in Minneapolis. I'm going to use 422 as our purchase price because that's close as we want to get to the $400,000 mortgage that's referenced in the article. Okay. Now, paying attention to this part over here on the side, the first thing we're going to do is put in some rent as I open that up. Now, before we even get into that, just so you know, when you read this article, it's only a one-page article, and it's clear to me that, I mean, it's just, it's clickbait is what it is. They're hoping you just read the headline that says, hey, it's going to take you 14 years to break even if you buy a house, and then just not read the rest of the article. Because if you do read it, and it's only one page long, doesn't take long to read it, you're going to notice that they're comparing buying a house and getting a $400,000 mortgage to living for free. And I don't know a lot of people who have that as their two options. So you're either going to live in your parents' basement or live in a box in the street, or you're going to buy this house. So where do the rental numbers come from? Well,
why don't you guys comment down so far? Keep people in the loop.
You're on mute, Chris.
These dang mouses. Andy, does that not remind you of you when he's talking about?
Well,
he sent me this video yesterday, and I just started laughing because I'm like, oh my God, Andy's going to just get fired up on this one. Because that is true. On the article, it basically says that, hey, you could go rent, and he goes through that and shows kind of the whole rental thing. And it's absolutely ludicrous what they've kind of come up with. And throwing that out there, and he's exactly right. It's clickbait. It's what the world's come to. It's all about, hey, it doesn't matter. We'll get past it later, and but now we have to deal with all of these questions, from people, because people do look at Zillow and they're like, oh my God, you're going to make any money, and it's just like, it's ridiculous. And that's why this thing really kind of plays it out and shows you every freaking dollar that you can do. And he actually goes into it deeper and makes everything worse than what Zillow's even saying, and then still shows how much money you're going to make.
See, my thoughts are Zillow's numbers are down, and so they're doing clickbait crap like this now just to get more eyeballs on their site again, so they can keep charging. Again, it is literally a spider trap and a spider web, and it's designed to get you to click and stick somewhere on that web, and then they want to sell it, that information. It's all about data now. Data. We have so many thousand visitors a minute. We have so many thousand visitors per hour. We have and then we generate so many leads, and then people subscribe into that. Like, well, look they're the big powerhouse. They have the eyeballs. People are watching them. But here's what's interesting. You start putting out a bunch of clickbait articles like that. The people that actually do read them eventually are going to get to the point of where, boy, this is just another Esquire magazine of real estate, right? There's stuff on there that's kind of interesting, but there's a lot of crap on here that, because people want to pay to play, they put on there that sells their whatever widget they're trying to sell. So, housing is kind of a little bit different. I think that just like the state of Minnesota doesn't tax clothing, for an example. Clothing is essential. Housing is essential. I think some of these arenas that we're in where people are making huge financial decisions, I'm not saying I want them policed. I really don't. I just think that there should be a rule, kind of like the builders have the code of ethics. Same should anybody that claims to be a real estate-based website. Just like when you run an ad on social media, if it's real estate-based, they follow all the anti-discriminatory classes, and you have to run ads to everybody. You can't just run them to certain people anymore. And it's like, it's getting to the point of where it's like, okay, so for real estate, I think they should also, if they're regulating on Facebook and Instagram and everything else, why can't they have some, version of a code of ethics that they have to follow too, that says, hey, listen, we're not going to put clickbait on our website. We're going to disclose to you that we're actually selling your name to real estate agents. They should say that by clicking this, you understand your name is being sold to somebody, and that there's going to be people that are going to be calling you like a predator because they spent a lot of money to get this lead. You know what I mean? Because now you're a lead in the system of life, right? The funnel of life. And so I don't know, man. I just don't understand why all that doesn't have to be disclosed, or like this, where something like this, it shows you an example. To me, why do more people not want to follow something like this?
Hey, that's why we're here, Andy. We're trying to help people understand this, and I just thought this was the best example of it. So let's listen to a little more.
Yeah, I think
these rental numbers automatically populate, and these are comparable rents in Hennepin County if you want to rent a $422,000 equivalent home. So assuming that this is the house you want to buy and you decide not to buy, let's compare it to renting a house that's similar. That's what this tool does, and it does it automatically. I could change the price to whatever, $300,000, and you're going to see that the rent goes down. But again, we're using 422 because that's just to do an apples to apples comparison to the article that is referenced. So $29.75 is the comparable rent in Hennepin County. $45 for renter's insurance, and then the annual rental increase for renewable rents. There's a couple different ways you can do it. Average in Hennepin County is actually 5.313%, which you can see is in there. The national average is 4.5. We'll get back to that in a minute. Now, go down to the property. We're going to look at, we got 422,000. We've got effective tax rate that refers to property taxes. So that's kind of an average at 1.32% for Hennepin County. So that comes out to $55.70 a year, $123 for homeowners insurance. 2% annual property tax increase. That's also baked into the numbers we're going to look at the end. Repairs or HOA or maybe both, we just put 175 in there. And then the cost to sell would be, let's call it 6%. Okay. Now, going to the loan. Right now, it's looking at conventional loan at 7.5%. We're going to change that to 8%. Okay, the loan amount defaults to 10% down. We're going to go to 5% down. It's not quite 400. It's a little bit higher, 400,900. So that makes it a little bit more expensive than the 400 they reference in the article. 30-year term, conventional loan, interest rate 7.5. Again, we're going to bump that up to 8 just to make this a little bit worse. Average mortgage insurance, $220 a month. If your credit scores are under 739, there's a couple brackets above that. If your scores are over 740 or again over 760, that cost would go down, but we're going to leave it right where it is at $220. And then we're going to bump up the closing cost from $8,440 to $10,000. Now, homeownership. The article talked about how in Hennepin County, it takes 13 years and 10 months, so almost 14 years. So we're just going to round that down, call it 13 years. Okay. Appreciation rates in Hennepin County. You can customize it. We're just going to use the regular appreciation rates. So there's a couple different ways to look at that. Historical appreciation rates in Hennepin County going back 63 years are 4.01% a year on average. Okay. What's forecast is an appreciation rate going forward of 3.55%. All right. So we got historical and we've got forecast. We'll look at both. I believe the printed sheet that I sent has historical. Federal tax rate, 22%. That can be adjusted depending on the person. We're looking at a married couple making under 172,750, and between that and the you can see where that comes from. Married filing jointly. Okay, so we're going to go up top here. Now we're just going to hit show results. So walking you through here, you can see how the rent in year one and the buying in year one compares. You can see it's about $924 per month higher, given what we're doing with the property taxes and the monthly repairs, adding that in. Rent, you're not going to have that kind of repairs. Your taxes, $45 is going to be like for renter's insurance. Over here, these bars, you can see that how your rent will increase. And again, we're not just pulling these numbers out of the sky. This is sort of the annual rental increase in Hennepin County. So if you look at what rents today at $3,020 and call that in 13 years, you're going to be paying about $5,621 for the same property in rent. Cash flow difference over that time period, you're going to come out ahead $30,000. Appreciation gain, amortization gain. I think everybody knows about appreciation gain, but I do want to draw your attention to the amortization gain, which I'm circling here. When you're talking about a time frame of 13 years, you're talking about almost half of your 30-year amortization. So we all know that the interest on an amortized loan is heavily front-loaded, but there is a pretty good portion there, almost $74,000, $73,414 in amortization gain over that time period. And at the same time, if we use the historical appreciation at 4.01% in Hennepin County, and we estimate that value out for 13 years, we're looking at a property value there of $703. So your appreciation gain is quite high at $281,600. And then we've got a net gain of buying a home in 13 years. Again, the article said 13 years and 10 months was your spot to break even. And you can actually see that the net gain to buying a house is $357,052. So that's where you see, and that's how you can explain this to your clients, to your borrowers, to your prospects. These numbers down here, initial close.
I do think it's interesting, Andy, that, everyone kind of forgets about, that annual appreciation. Now it's gone down before. I mean, look at 2008, but over that whole time, it's still averaged 4%.
Yeah.
Over time. So even if it's in that 13 years, I mean, it's going to write itself out at some point. And I don't know if they're thinking that it's catastrophe and that's going to be different than anything else that's ever happened in the history of housing. But I don't see it.
Well, remember, if you take windows off of a big pie, big chart there, right?
Yeah.
You cut windows, there might be a period of time where it loses 30% over 3 years.
Right.
Like if you go back to the 2000s, but then there's also chunks that show 26% appreciation, so it's like the average. They take all of it and they average it. So depending on the windows. So they're just saying that, hey, let's just be conservative and assume that the window going forward isn't going to be the best. Isn't going to be rosy as it was or rosy as the average. A little bit challenging times. But, the thing is that I think that a tool like that to me, I'm immediately thinking of, well, that's at 8% interest. And that's only with, 5% down. That's only with, I start looking at it and I go, okay, so now I'll whack in there 20% down. If you can swing it, you put in there, no mortgage insurance, you put in there the appreciation, and then you even, what? Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing that he did. He tried to make it look as bad as you possibly could, and you're still making money, And so I think the whole idea is to be able to show that article is just a little far out there, And the thing is trying to compare it to not living anywhere. I mean, you got to live something. You have to pay for something. What are you going to do? I mean, like you said, live in a box. Some people might, and I think that's actually a good idea. Maybe for the next 13 years, live in a box.
In a lot of environments where it's anti, citizen or whatever you want to call it, where they've got grandma, grandpa, mom and dad, and the kids all living in the same rental apartment overseas. Happens all the time. That's why a lot of people move to America, so they don't have to do that. And so the American dream
here now too.
Well, it's going to have to. I mean, who the hell can afford $5,600 a month in rent on a normal house? I mean, either that or you're going to have to keep making raises. And at that point, it's like, why would you not just take your medicine now? And I mean, I guess there's people that are risk takers. There's people that are not. And if somebody truly believes that the world's going to come to an end in the next 5 years and then reset and then go back up again, well, if they're right, I hope they're not. But if they're right, I mean, it is what it is. But you got to play like I'm saying. We're not telling you anything. We're just saying these are the statistics. These are the averages. And what kind of decision do you want to make here? Conservative and put more money down? Do you want to adjust the rate? Do you want to, buy down your interest rates? Do you, or do you want to just, wait? And if you wait, look at what's happening to the rent. This tool is fantastically important because we, over the last 10 years in the Twin Cities, have averaged, I think, close to 10% rate increases on rent. Across the Twin Cities metro, not just 5. So it's like, you look at that and you're like, my God, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So we appreciate that, Mr. Hubble. That's very good. And God, I wish I could kind of talk like that too. But that guy did flub one time.
Soothing.
Not once.
Confident and soothing.
Nick has to sit and edit mine all the time about my little things. So
yeah.
Hey, I got some good news though. The fastest, let me find it. It's maybe another clickbait one, but the only Minnesota city where homes are selling fastest right now. Where do you guys think it is?
The only city? Or the number one city?
Can you phrase that again? I didn't understand the question. So the fastest.
What's the fastest growing city in Minnesota? I'm going with
Lakeville.
Lakeville. I am too.
Okay, here we go.
Why is that changing?
Champlin.
Minnetonka.
See, look at the title. Isn't it weird? The only Minnesota city where homes are selling fastest right now. But I think they're just saying
that is clickbait.
Homes are selling.
I
believe it's.
Come on, where is it?
It was Rochester.
Rochester. Wow.
Are you, Nick? Are you doing your research during the show instead of before the show?
No, it's Rochester.
It's the effort that counts, and the time we put in.
Hey, just wait until you see what lake you're going to talk about today.
Oh God, I don't.
Lake Liscalana. That's a really great lake.
Liscalana?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's a joke, Andy. That's a joke.
Oh, gotcha. I'm Googling. You understand? I'm sitting here Googling this as you speak. Going.
Hey, go back to that article, Nick. Carlos Correa. It says Carlos Correa bought a lake home. Where did he do that? Keep going down. I want to know where he bought because I thought I thought at one point he was looking in.
Ooh, look at that.
Oh, nice. At Minnetonka. I was looking at Prior Lake, but he signed a long-term deal. Beautiful. He's probably over by Big Joe Maurer.
Probably.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. What the heck? 7.5. That's not bad. That's like probably, what is it? 22 games, I think.
That used to be one of my hobbies back in the day when I was really new to the business. I would go when the internet kind of started. I guess it's probably mid career because it wouldn't have been at my beginning of my career. But I would go to the Hennepin County sites. I would go to whatever, and you could go through and you could click on the parcels and you could see who owned it. And I'm like, oh, wow, look at that. But a lot of them now hide under LLCs. So it's the, Jelly Bean LLC. And you're like, well, who owns Jelly Bean LLC? And then it's not as much fun because it's not as easy to see.
Not investigate.
I think
I do have to say something about Carl's career, because this is not just a real estate show. This is a baseball show. And I think everyone thought that was a complete waste of money to be able to sign him. But I think you saw in playoffs a difference someone like that makes. He just needs a little help, and I think he's well worth the money. Just saying.
Well,
So there.
that's great input. Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Hey,
welcome.
check this out though. So the Rochester, it was only 12 days on the market in June. Was that different than what you guys see in your area? Is it true
Yes.
this is the fastest moving place still?
I think ours is 34 days. I just saw the other day.
34, and it's also like 426 or something for the average sale price.
Yeah, the market's much higher in the metro than it is in Rochester, but obviously they have a little something over there called Mayo.
I was just the revolving door of coming in for a year and having your whatever I don't want to say internship, but a fellowship or whatever they call that, and they go for a couple years, get their resume built up, and then they move.
Andy, I'm starting to think I look a lot better here in my office than I do at my house.
Yeah,
I look really peak it at my house, but here I'm just like glowing.
Yeah, you do. You glow.
Literally.
You glow. You should dust a little bit. I can see some dust floating in the background.
Yeah, I'm gonna get on Morgan for that. I came here and she's off to a wedding, and doing her thing, and I come into this freaking pig pen. So we're gonna talk about that.
I'd like to see Morgan. I haven't seen her in a year and a half since her graduation or whatever it was, or 4 years
she's
ago.
doing great. She's been working with me, Andy. She catches on fast. So
Oh, she's a smart kid.
yeah.
Hey, so we've been talking a lot about the contract for deed thing coming into this market, and I found this that they're kind of checking out if people are being smart with it or they're not following the rules. Have you guys heard about this?
No. I'm curious about it though.
Weird predatory lending.
Attorney General opens the investigation into controversial contract for deeds. Ooh, what is it saying? Fast track real estate deals. Wow. Okay, what's it saying? Can't see that.
There we go.
All right, yeah. Can I pursue?
It's like that one thing, Andy, you talked about this a lot, because they can't do the religion, certain like interest in people.
Yeah,
Somali and
usury law.
well, it's I believe it's usually just it's real simple. It's Muslim faith that they don't. I think there's a deal with where they don't believe in a profit. It's interest rates. They do profit-based loans, and hey, God bless them. Who cares, right? It's like that's just the way they want to do it. So they don't have the protection of the U.S. government. They don't have the all the different protective precautions that we've spent years and years and years to put into place. And so I've literally sat at the closing table where somebody's paying 9% interest when interest rates were at 4%. And I've seen them pay, 3 origination points and paying an extra 2% to the real estate agent. And I mean, it's like, and they all sit there and they're all okay with it. And it's like, how in the heck is this okay? And it's just, I mean, I had one of my, I was the listing agent. The buyers came in and I literally sat there and I go, your lender is so embarrassed about this loan. They're not even here. Your real estate agent is so embarrassed about collecting all these extra fees. They're not here. I go, what are we doing here? I have zero problem if you want to cancel and try to figure out how to do some traditional financing. I said, and the difference that you don't pay in that interest, you can donate to the charity of your choice. I go, how good would you feel every month giving $4,000 or whatever, $3,000 away to somebody else versus giving it to, whatever. And this lender that can't even show their face. And it's, I don't know, man. I'm glad the Attorney General is stepping up on that because it's just right.
I'm happy to hear that it's not about the contract for deed. That's a tool. It's how the people are using that tool to defraud people and charge them more money and, like you said, predatory lending type stuff. So,
well, a lot of times
there's contract for deed.
English, and so you have people that are, English is a second language, and so there's a little bit of a barrier there to, even understanding what everybody's saying to each other. But it's like, this is the way we should do it. And they trust the person. So then they just do it. And I'm talking about successful people. I mean, you don't buy a $900,000 house and because you're a bum. You're actually a very established, you've saved money, you've worked hard your whole life, and you want to live the American dream. And then this happens and it's horrible. They should actually have, of all the things that we've talked about in the past, this is something to where I think it's actually a big problem for the people some of the people doing it. Some of the people are doing it very legitimately, but there's a lot of them that are not. And it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, we see that. And I'm glad that it's not the actual tool, because there's always going to be predators out there and they're going to attack and go after people. But on the contract for deed form, it states that if you're not a person that's done it before, that you have to get with an attorney and find out your ways of, how you should be able to look at a contract for deed and what it all means to you. Because I mean, it's important that people know that. And a lot of people, I'll tell you, a lot of people just sign away. Okay, yep, that's great. It's 400,000. We'll take it. Well, yep. I want to look at all these other little terms in here. So, and our purchase agreements are pretty good, I think, because what you really have to look at, I mean, you got to remember they put all the boiler language in there to be able to protect all the parties. Okay, so if you didn't quite understand something, it's not going to take you to the poorhouse. It's all the little things that we fill in are the things that you have to watch out for. So they're pretty easy to be able to kind of find out. I've really liked some of these contracts people are doing where the ink is a different color. They highlight the little areas where they fill in. It really kind of just, hey, buyer beware. These are the spots you really kind of want to be able to look at.
Yeah, I always do my stuff in blue.
Yeah,
I always have. But the thing that you look at,
just like your eyes, beautiful blue eyes. Do you have blue eyes?
I think I got green ones, kind of.
Oh, okay, okay. Sorry.
Chris, the greeny bluey.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. When you get back to those kind of deals, contract for deed, you and I traditionally think of a seller that has a buyer that comes in. Maybe they got a fresh divorce on their books, whatever. They filed bankruptcy, their company, whatever. But they have money, they have family, they have needs. They come in, they have the ability to produce income, so they can put 50, 60 down or whatever the percentage is. Maybe they want 20% down. They do a contract for deed. They're doing it at 8%. They're doing it for 2 years, and then they're back on their feet. They refinance that property, and the seller is out. So I think you will see, because sometimes risk takers are the ones that are the highest earners. I mean, they're entrepreneurs, they're the whatevers, or they can't prove, hey, I just got this contract signed, or maybe they're an athlete or whatever, and they don't have a history of they just have money. And so that's what traditionally the contract for deeds are for. But, these are where people go to somebody for a contract for deed just because they can change the verbiage. But what I'll tell you is this: when you have a lenders are under all these, rules and regulations they're not allowed to be predators. They're not allowed to charge certain things. They're monitored, right? They're also, remember this, good times are great, but when bad times hit you, they're also protective. So with foreclosure laws and things like that, they can't just, after missing 2 payments, come in there and scoop the property up and kick you out. You actually have an advertisement period that you do. They have to advertise it for so long. They have to, actually give you there's a redemption period that you actually have to redeem that loan. So you don't lose your house. You're protected. And so that's why I really take a look at everyone and I say, well, religion aside, is this something that's better for your family? Is it more protective? Is it safer for your kids and your deposits? And because if you're putting $300,000-$400,000 down on $1 million house, I don't know if I'd want to be subjective to missing 2 payments and losing that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Good attorneys on that case.
Hey, I think we just got 2 clickbait things right there. The Zillow and the whole contract for deed, because it's trying to scare you on the contract for deed.
This is why, though, because then you guys explain it freshly and look like the experts, which you are, right?
Yeah, you clicking on your IP address down there. I'm not doing it.
I'm gonna mention something. I saw the Dick has a little outline that he says it. It's just kind of headlines, and then we kind of answer these things. Andy never looks at them, so he's
I
always
usually read them the next day.
He's completely like that, has no idea what's happening, which is really good. It shows that, I mean, that he knows what the hell he's talking about. But I told Dick, I said, I don't want freaking Zillow on there saying it's 13 years before you buy a house, because it doesn't look like for our clients. He's like, no, you have to defend that. And then it'll show that, get out there and debate that clickbait rather than just kind of let it stand. And so I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And then, well, I did say that. I said, no, I still don't want to do it. And then Andy Hubble actually sent me that video, and I'm like, all right, Nick, you're right. Here you go. Let's do it. So that's what happened.
Well, just like the NAR lawsuit, I think that's all by big corporate America too. They're putting all that money behind it. They're chasing after. Remember this, ladies and gentlemen. All of those Wall Street big, real estate style companies, the do this and avoid all of those are based on making 7% commissions. It's not designed to be an easier process. It's not designed to be a safer process for the consumer. It's all about just shifting it from a real estate agent, which helps you with the biggest personal decision of your life, analyzes it in depth, understands the local conditions, understands what's important to you as a consumer, and protects you and make sure those best interests are being, protected. When you go out to I don't want to say the word like an Uber, you order an Uber on an app. This isn't an Uber, guys. This is something that's way bigger than that. And they're trying to take technology and make the consumer feel. That's why this NAR lawsuit's filed, because they want people to say, oh, you can't trust real estate agents. Look at they're trying to screw us. And then they're trying to get you to go online. And if you don't think that's the biggest pull the sheet over your head and punch you in the belly that I've ever seen, and people are letting it happen and nobody's getting pissed, I'm pissed. I think it's a bunch of crap. And I think NAR, and now there's a big lawsuit coming in Illinois, and now everybody's attacking the real estate industry. And my thing is this: if you've screwed a customer, you deserve it. Absolutely 100% deserve to have your license taken away and get out of the business. But for the hardworking people that have explained things up front and done everything up front, just remember, if you're watching this, ask your agent, what do you think? What is your position on this? How do you explain things to your client? And every single one of the good agents that's out there right now is going to say, listen, we go through our listing contract line by line, which clearly, explains what you're paying for what services. Of that fee, what we pay out to other agents. Do you have to pay that out? This is the biggest argument ever. But if you don't, the consumer doesn't have the money to buy the house because they don't have the money to pay for the agent. And you really want people represented. I truly think that this industry,
they don't even have enough in a lot of circumstances. They don't even have enough to pay their closing costs. That's why closing costs are getting paid for. So now all of a sudden, closing costs, realtor, nobody's going to be able to buy. Nick, your little millennial, whatever you guys are you're going to really go up in arms on that one.
I have an answer.
They can do it themselves, and if they can do it themselves, why don't they then? I mean, they should be doing that, but they don't know all the nuances. You can't just Google that, So
hey, WebMD works for a lot of people, Chris.
Oh.
Here's the answer, guys. Here's what Walmart is stepping up and making it affordable for everyone. Ready?
This is huge news. Walmart just announced that they're selling a tiny home with 2 stories for less than $10,000. Now the kicker on this house is they say they can deliver it in less than 7 days. With housing prices rising all over the country, people see that tiny homes could be an option. What do you guys think? I want to know your thoughts in the comments below. Follow me for more on stocks, tech, and investing.
God bless America. Let's do it. Sears did it. Hey, back in the day, Sears used to have a catalog. Remember, it was this thick, you guys? And you'd click through it. Well, even before our time, you could actually order houses. A lot of the farms that are built across the country were actually kits from Sears. And they'd send out the whole kit. You'd assemble it yourself. It'd come by rail car, for God's sakes. It'd get on your buggy. And from the buggy, they'd take it to your farm. And we need something like that. That is exactly what as long as now here's the riff, okay? Your local municipality. Chris, go down to Prior Lake and ask them where you could put your tiny house. Not in our city. Nope. And the connection, the whack and the sack and the connection fees are going to be about $18,000. Plus the lot's going to be $150,000. Plus the whatever. And your covenants override that. The covenants won't allow it. You couldn't put that in Prior Lake. You just can't. Unless you owned a big farm. And then you can tell everybody to go to hell because there's no rules on farms. Right? Then you can put it out there. Rural America. That's where it's going to be at. That's where affordable housing may. And hey, most people could afford it like that. Anyway,
I agree. And for some reason, I had to switch computers because the sun was in my eyes on the other one, so that video didn't play on mine. But it sounds like it's a kit to have a home, or they're
under 10 grand delivered in 7 days.
Okay.
They can have basically what it is it's a park. It looks like a park model style, like you'd put at a RV park. And when they say a 2-story, what it is it's a loft that's like 4 feet high, that you can crawl up there and have beds.
Yeah.
But at that price, it's affordable.
Oh.
I don't know. For that price though, normally that unit that they showed in that clip is about an $85,000 trailer with air and heat and everything else in there, and kitchens and bathrooms that flush and everything else. So I don't know how they're doing it for 10 grand. It might be a little bit more of a shell with no inside.
Interesting.
You can't get a shed for 10 grand hardly nowadays.
You said that's Walmart doing it?
That's what that person said. Yeah.
Hey, so what about this? I didn't know Minnesota had the homes like.
Whoa. Chris, you missed I was dancing to your music.
That's right, baby.
Are you okay?
I can't see the video, but I assume it was my little Mediterranean feel in a certain area around here. So
yeah, he cut a clip from overseas on the front, and then cut it to your house. I think you have for sale, and it worked really nice.
Well, hey, you got to take me off camera for a second. It's because I have to answer a question over here from somebody.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Andy.
Hi.
Hey, did you like that? You like that? I don't know if it's on the market, but
you know what it did is it brought your brain to where you want to go with the style, and it pulled it together quickly. That was cool.
Yeah, that's nice. Hey, let's get into your the Minnesota Lake segment. Have you heard of Big Marine Lake? Yeah,
Big?
Big Marine Lake. I'm gonna pop this up for you.
I've scuba dived in that lake.
Really?
Yeah. It's a really deep, nice, clean lake.
I think he's back. Okay, good.
Yeah, there we go. That's beautiful. Oh my gosh. If you turn on your satellite in that area, that is a gorgeous part of town over there. I mean, big trees, rolling hills, fantastic. Big Marine, and then there's another one over there called Square Lake that that's where I got my certification in. That's in that area too. So pretty cool. Yeah, beautiful spot.
That's crazy. I've never heard of Big Marine Lake. And where is it?
It's right south of Scandia.
Oh my God.
Yeah, see that.
Yeah, Scandia's. I like Scandia. Wow. Maybe I just never knew what it was called.
Yeah, it's not this one here isn't, if I remember correctly, is not as deep as a lot of the other, I don't say it's not that it's dirty, but it's
What were you scuba diving there for?
Treasures. I heard there were some pirate ships that sunk, and I don't remember. When I was younger, I was kind of adventurous, and I do all kinds of crap, and I got one of my. I think I suckered him into letting me get certified for scuba diving as one of my college credits or something, and then we had to have so many hours in, and so we were on that end of town, and I believe it was you start in Square Lake where you get your certification, and then we had to do so many dives in other lakes, and that's where everybody would go.
Are you certified scuba diver?
I was, a billion years ago. I mean, I'm sure I could. In Mexico, I'm certified, I'm sure, but I mean, everywhere else, for my own safety, I'd probably want to take a refresher class. I was.
I think a little surfer Nick is too.
It's just good to know because, I mean, what happens is, I've had 2 real estate buddies of mine over the years that I've known, I'm not like best friends with them, that have died from scuba diving incidents, where the oxygen goes out, they're down too deep, nobody's around them, and they just, for some little stupid fluke, die. And, and it's horribly sad.
Little stupid fluke. They went scuba diving. That's their problem. You don't.
Got ate by
Why would you
sharks.
ever go scuba diving and go way down there?
Hey,
I had a chance. I need a submarine.
Hey, I heard one of these guys, this is the third guy. We should have a whole episode on this. Was they were all out fishing, and they were like, "Where's Bill?" And they're like looking, and they were coming in like an hour and a half back into the. Oh, swear to God, they think he fell out of the back of the boat and drowned and got eaten by sharks, and because they went back looking for him and they couldn't find him, and I mean I'm talking like they had like the Coast Guard and everybody like flying everywhere, and he just vanished.
That's why I don't like to go to things that I don't know what's under me.
Scuba diving is really fun though. It's like you're in a whole different world. It's a really good experience. Manny, do we know anything about the real estate up there? Are people buying, or is it decent, affordable?
Oh, it's very, very sought after, very expensive. It's kind of like the wealthier East Siders love that area up there. A little more space. It's kind of that. I don't know how to say that. Your area that you like down south, Chris, where you sell all the lots. What is that?
Where I sell lots?
Yeah, you had that whole development for sale a couple years ago. Where?
What?
The acreage where you sold $1 million homes.
On a lake?
No. What city?
Oh, Reverence.
Yeah, what city is that, Chris?
Oh, Credit River.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a Credit River, that area.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you have a lot of 2 and 10 acre sites, and then you'll have a $7 million house on it, and it's like that area it's not easy to get to, which I think a lot of people like, is that there's no real easy like highway running by. That's why it's very quiet there.
So they all have helicopters.
That's right.
So smart.
Hey, Chris, we wanted to hear your thoughts though on that video that you have.
What thoughts do you want?
See it, Nick.
I've seen it. Yeah, it might be the coolest little place ever. This person kind of totally redid it, and it's freaking awesome. And it's on a lake, and it's a perfect like extra little place to go to. You gotta be able to get access to it because it's obviously on an island. But super cool. People hang out on that island all summer long.
Oh, they do? Yeah, I was gonna say that by that big marine, Chris. Remember when we signed a confidentiality agreement for that big executive at that big local, Fortune 100 company that's here that you and I couldn't talk about? Remember we went out to his estate and he was on a huge property, like hundreds of acres of land. That was just to the north of this.
Okay. Yeah.
That was kind of one of the weirdest.
That did sell.
Real estate agents. We should just say this. So we're talking about real estate agents being in non-traditional roles. We were hired as consultants to come out and do a full assessment, non-biased, not in his circle of friends, not in his whatever, a fan of the WCCO show, calls us out of the blue, wants to pay us for our time, for our visit, and bought us a really good lunch when we were there and went through the whole property. He verified everything that he wanted to verify, and then said thank you and said, see you later. You're never going to get this listing, but here's enough money to make you happy for coming up here. And it was cool.
That was an awesome place. That barn. I love that barn. I'm going to have one of those barns one day.
I would love it too, Chris.
Someday. Yeah.
You know what he did, Nick? I don't know if you care or not, but this guy actually had, an old school barn built like they built back in the early 1900s, where they took like large rough sawn lumber and actually had it notched and like wooden pegged together and just stunning. And of course, because when you're rich, why would you not fill it with the coolest toys? I mean, everything's full of all these awesome toys and collector tractors, and just you feel like you're walking to a Hallmark, like commercial.
And he basically finished it so his kid could get married out there too. It was super cool.
Yeah, he was a neat dude. I really admired his. And then his one son that stayed at home, special needs, would split wood for a living, and had a firewood business that he and his son ran together. Talk about a guy with the soul of an angel. I mean, this guy was, has this, multi-million-dollar capacity and pick up the phone and talk to the biggest guys in the world. And he's out there splitting wood with his kid every day so that they can make a living together and growing trees. And it was cool. Anyway, I had a lot of respect for the guy. So.
Andy almost sounds like a nice guy, Nick.
Who does?
It's good because his commercial's next. So.
Well, they said I could have 30 seconds on the show for a quick ad. Andy Prasky, Remax Advantage Plus, Andy@Prasky.com if you want to email us. Here's the thing, 22 years in the business, over 1,400 sales. I'd like to help you with your real estate needs. If that's buying, if that's selling, if that's building, whatever it is, give us a call, send us an email. Let's get you started on your real estate journey. I'd like to help you on the way. Lots of experience here, and I would like to put it to work for you. Andy Prasky, Remax Advantage Plus. Thanks for listening to the show. It should have just been this. I should have just went like this for 30 seconds.
Hey, what do you think of that look, Andy? What? Oh.
This was my commercial I wanted for 30 seconds.
Hey, could you do me another favor, Andy?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
In the back corner under the AP, there's like a little billboard. Can you bring that over? I want to see that.
Nope.
Come on. You see it back there, Nick? See it?
Right
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
Right there.
I see it.
Yeah.
that was back when they were trying to sell us billboards for doing the show, and they mocked up a billboard for us, and I kept it.
Well, then why can't you show it? Or is this like your little trophy that you won't tell us about?
You know what, Chris?
Oh, there's his trophy, Nick.
Hey, having a few secrets in life is okay, buddy.
Okay.
Look at how young I was. I was
This is
junior
not
high.
a podcast. We are live. Wow.
Yeah, see, and it's like a real billboard.
Look
You
a
can
little
walk
younger
here
there.
and-
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was isn't it just a weird little cool thing? I just kept it in my office.
Chris Lindahl's got 1,000 billboards. We got one little baby one.
And it's in my office.
All right. Hey, this is a cool look. What do you think of this look, Andy?
I like it.
I just
Like
did a
French
market analysis
tattoo.
on one that has that same exact look. I want to read up on this, what they say about it.
Looks like it's a fake house, though.
So there's only 9 photos. Mirror
Well, I
Lake.
think what they're doing is they're
Like-
ripping down that Rambler that's there to build that house. Right?
Oh, that's going to be the new house. Yeah. Look at that. Andy, geez. You are quick. So that's happening a lot in the Edina area where they're getting these lots and people are building those up. And so as a situation like this that might not even be even close to the house that's going to be built there. But they got to give people kind of some ideas that might excite them to be able to move out there. But they'll build any sort of house on there. And that looks like a fantastic lot. What is it? Almost 0.6 of an acre, which is in Edina. That's a pretty big lot. So look at that, $645 a square foot. What are your houses going for that 5.99%, Andy? How much per square foot? I mean, how much per square foot are your houses on your little piece of paper?
Oh, 2 stories, you're getting under 200. Ramblers are pushing close to 3 with lot and everything, of course, a square foot.
That's this one's 645. So it's kind of what you put into it, all those little roof lines, that stucco look, even that chimney is super expensive, especially if it's connected to the actual a real fireplace. But most people are just doing those chimneys for the curb appeal. Each of those dormers, I mean, I really like that look. I think it's really kind of classy.
I've said that on my lake place. I want to put a wood fireplace in there. Everybody's, oh, you can't. And I go, there's no law saying you can't. It's just what do you have to do to make it compliant?
And how expensive is it?
Exactly.
Oh.
You might spend $20,000 extra, but if that's what makes your whole house, why wouldn't you do it?
Right. Yeah, it sits right on a pond. I mean, that's a great little area. That will be sold. I don't know if that house is going to go up on it, but really, really nice.
Well, I mean, for that money, I'm assuming that includes the new house too, because that house
right.
sitting like it is maybe sold for $750, $800.
It's what we do in the industry, what we call a to be built. So It's kind of like, hey, here's an example of what you can have on this lot. Here's kind of the money it's going to be. There was one that was built across me from the lake that was a to be built, and it was $3 million. It ended up being almost $4 million when they got finished with it. So you can kind of see the other houses. Nick, that was a great picture, that last one. That kind of shows you kind of the area that it's in. So look at all the other houses that have built up on there. So
It's kind of crazy though too, Chris, is the so that area is a little more spread out, probably over by the country club, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
In that area. South of there though, and more into the Linden Hills and kind of into that, part of South Minneapolis. I've got 2 builders that need land over there, meaning your old house. So the tear down specials, and it's interesting how they value land differently over there, Chris. So like a house that doesn't have an alley, that lot is worth more to a builder because they can build that $1 million, $2 million house on there and sell it with a backyard with a fire pit versus having the alleyway in the back. In the alleyway, they'll still buy them, but they don't give them as much money because now you've got the back-loading garage and you have more emphasis on the front yard than you do on the back. And most people want the privacy of a backyard. So as I've helped a few of these guys now over the years, if you know anybody that's looking to sell and they have a tear down or a whatever, I got 2 guys that are quick with cash.
Yeah. Boy, Andy, just another wonderful show with you. Spending my time with you every Thursday morning is like so fun.
It's like I'll just keep me quiet. Thank you.
No more comments on that example. That last one? All good?
No, I think we're all good. I think that, people that are out there, don't be afraid of the market. I think that the people are looking for things to publish, so you click on it. Do your research in the area that you're looking because it may be different from the area that your friend was looking at work. And, it's like people all the time, they want to put everything into one big bucket, and it doesn't work that way, just like economies. Like some housing economies are different than others. Some, economies with business are different than others. And so right now, I still think I don't agree with Zillow. I just would say that. Well, I never agree with Zillow. But.
And some agents are different than others. Remember that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You got to have an agent that'll be willing to tell you no. Don't sell right now. Hold on, or whatever.
That's why it's so good we have this show. We can counter all this stuff and lessen the worry for people, So another great time. Click that link. Go to our YouTube. Give us the thumbs up. Write us a review. And if you have to sell or buy a home, you know who to call. See you next week.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Real Estate Radio Hour. Don't forget to visit our website, realestateradiohour.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or your preferred podcast listening app. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes or sharing us with a friend. Until next time, stay awesome, Twin Cities.